We don't want the word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population.
On December 10, 1939, Planned Parenthood founder Margaret Sanger wrote a letter to Dr. Clarence J. Gamble in which he said that eliminating blacks was one of their goals, but they needed a front man to sell it.
And the minister is the man who can straighten out that idea.
Margaret Sanger is reputed to have made covenants and recruiting agreements with black clergy in times past. So there's a real problem there where there's an aggressive, I have to use very strong language to describe it, because I think it's racial genocide, meaning that a group of people say, we want to wipe out as many of these other people as we can.
During her lifetime, Dr. Margaret Sanger said, "Colored people are like weeds, and they need to be exterminated. We don't want that word to get out." And then in essence, she went on to say that we'll select some of their leaders and make them a poster child for our cause.
Planned Parenthood Federation of America was founded by Margaret Sanger, who was a careful disciple of the discipline called Eugenics. And now, for those who are not familiar, Eugenics was the scientific, genetic, racist philosophy that drove Nazism and Adolf Hitler.
No one is calling Margaret Sanger a Nazi or a follower of Hitler, but both Hitler and Sanger did not believe in the God of the Bible, but believed in unguided evolution and that it was a good deed for humanity for the strong to root out the weak.
Today we rule Germany, tomorrow the world.
It was the idea that somehow by modern science and through scientific manipulation of genes, that a race of thoroughbreds could be created, weeding out those undesirable aspects of humanity. Now, for Margaret Sanger and her followers, those undesirable aspects of humanity were largely ethnic minorities, blacks, Jews, oftentimes Slavic peoples from Eastern Europe. These were considered undesirables, imbeciles, she called them, human weeds, she called them. And so Planned Parenthood was originally designed to limit the populations of those peoples and to increase the population of what she felt were the desirable races.
What is the bearing of the laws of heredity upon human affairs? Eugenics provides the answer.
Until it was discredited in the Holocaust, eugenics was popular not only in Germany, but even in America, to the likes of Margaret Sanger and many elites in our culture. Eugenics comes from the Greek, meaning technically good birth. It was viewed as a scientific way to essentially clean up the gene pool.
When World War II broke out, Margaret Sanger and her friends in the American eugenics movement quickly distanced themselves from the Nazis, but they held to the same essential principles.
The Manhattan office of Planned Parenthood has just decided to strip Margaret Sanger's name from their facility. Meanwhile, the behemoth organization continues to take many lives, regardless of race, in their abortion clinics and often at our expense.
It's extremely frustrating to see that no matter who is in office, it appears that Planned Parenthood continues to roll on as if nothing happened. Last year, Planned Parenthood reported record levels of funding, receiving taxpayer dollars, as well as the highest numbers of abortions that they performed in a single calendar year to date. That is extremely frustrating, especially when you have, for example, a Republican president, a Republican majority in the Senate, a Republican majority in the House of Representatives for President Trump's first 2 years, yet you still see this funding continue. And just as Margaret Sanger said that her desire was to stamp out the Negro population, it's unsurprising that over 70% of all Planned Parenthood facilities are in neighborhoods that are majority populated by people who have higher melanin content. I don't think that's an accident.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
It's interesting to note that the vast majority of these so-called social justice warriors who support the political movement, Black Lives Matter, are often militantly pro-abortion rights. So the unborn black lives apparently do not matter.
To me, it's amazing how Planned Parenthood does some of the things they do with a straight face. The fact that they support Black Lives Matter when they disproportionately abort black babies. When you look at the percentage of the population, about 14% of the population African American, but yet nearly a third of their abortions come from that demographic. Look, they have, in fact, if you look at where their clinics are located, they are located disproportionately in minority communities, African American, Hispanic. Planned Parenthood is one of the most deceptive organizations operating in America today.
We live in a country where in some cities in the U.S. there are more black babies being aborted than are being born. That is something that should be a civil rights issue. It should be even a constitutional issue because it is a targeting for extermination a particular group. It's genocide. Yet we tolerate that.